backyard drop, new backyard. Hey babe, wake up, new backyard just dropped, let's go. First of all, can I just say, this is Sin. 160 pounds at 5'11". I can tell you, as someone who was 5'10", 160 pounds before, I did not look like that. In fact, I was much skinnier. When I put on a lot of muscle, not to Sin's extent because he's a character in a video game, I was probably over 200 pounds. And I'll tell you what, I look nothing like that. These weights are so made up. I don't know why they always do this. Like, you know how Ryu is like 5'10", 180 pounds, and he's like wider than a fucking fridge? Like, this dude is humongous. Nago is 212 pounds. Okay. Yeah, all right, man. They say he has a more sporty look now. You know, Tasty Steve said he likes how he looks now, and I said, yeah, you'd buy the bags he's wearing for like $1,600 each. You know how Tasty Steve shops. He goes to Off-White, and he's just like, it's time. We managed to better emphasize his identity as a flag wielder as opposed to a traditional staff wielder. Yeah, I think before, he basically was like Lychee or something. He had a stick. He has many long-range normal moves and special moves, making it easy for him to get in on the opponent from mid-range. His strike, invincible, reversal, and effective special moves for mixing up a blocking opponent make for a strong, well-rounded character. Yeah, that sounds right. That's about Sin. Sin's very cool. We all here are Sin enjoyers, and if you're not, I'm sending your ass to the gulag. Crossplay. We're currently working on optimization for the official update to implement crossplay into the main game. We expect to have it ready for release mid-December. I was shocked. I didn't know if it was going to be this year or not. And then they dropped the new roadmap. In December, we're getting the crossplay update. We're also getting network mode updates. They said they were going to do this when crossplay came out. There would be the network mode updates. And then the balance patch, which it had to be now or it had to be in February or March. The rest of the tour that's happening is the event in Japan, which is it this weekend or next weekend? It's one of the two, right? After that, there is not another event on the Arc World Tour until Frosty, which is the end of January. You have the full month of January and all of December to get used to the new patch before the last qualifier. 3.5 months to get used to the new patch before the finals, which is plenty of time. And then the next character's in March. This is probably like when the finals happen. And then another character in May, they say. So for network stuff, new feature to select the room in a ranked tower. You'll be able to manually select a room within each ranked tower floor to enter. I'm sure a lot of you have had this problem where, let's say you go to like floor 10, and then in floor 10, there's like 3 people in there, including you, which means there's 2 people playing, and you're like, okay, well, I gotta go back. So then you click it again, and then you go back into the same room. Then you click it again, then you go back to the same room. Then you click it again, then you're in a room with 20 people, and you're like, okay, I can go find some people to play. It's annoying having to like try to cycle through the instances like that instead of just being able to pick. Along with this change, the rooms will now support up to 32 players at a time when entered manually instead of 24. The other thing is turning the rating update sequence off from the options menu. It will allow you to skip the sequence when you trigger a rating update in the rank tower. I wonder if now this means like the match finishes and then it just like sends you to the new spot instead of it saying rating update and playing the cutscene to make it not as annoying. So about different floors being more spread out, they mentioned this in another backyard forever ago. They're trying to make the other floors more populated, and they said in the new system it might be harder for you to rank up and like climb really quickly because we're trying to make sure that the players are actually on floors that are not just like, you know, 9, 10. We're trying to actually spread the players out a bit more. You might find yourself on a floor lower than what you played before. And it's not because you're worse or anything, but it's because we've spread out the skill level a bit more so that you actually play against people in your skill level more often. That's like their objective, I think. About the balance patch, I'm really curious about what's going to happen. I'll say a couple of things. One thing is I expect that some of the characters that are really good will get changed and still end up staying really good. There's some stuff in the game they seem to just like, and you have to accept that, like, they're not changing this. But I think there's other things that will change. Happy Chaos, I think the last patch makes a lot of sense for him in the sense that they didn't want him to be shooting from full screen, so they changed him to be like a more close range character, right? But I think his power level still lands too high. Happy Chaos, wall slum stuff, that might have to go. Although it's funny because, you know, the monkey's paw, I'm just imagining if they're like, okay, this gunshot from Happy Chaos grounded wall slums people, let's just make his regular gunshot launch. You all don't have Arx's brain. The changes they've made to Nago and the changes they've made to Ram make the characters really cool. I think they can do a lot of good stuff and their kits feel very cohesive, but they're just a little too good. Yeah, I think Gold Lewis needs a little change. I think the easiest thing to change about him is to make his security gauge come up slower. Every knockdown, he always gets to do drone. even though he just threw you and just did drone, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, he has drone again? Like, he gets it too much. I think all of the top tiers though in this game, as powerful as they are, I don't think like they're criminals. I'm not just like, this shit is fucking not okay, so fucked up, so stupid. Like, all of it needs to be toned down a bit, but criminal top tier characters are like much worse. You would know. And whatever happens in this patch, I want you to know, whoever ends up being top tier, you'll hate them. It doesn't matter if it's the same characters or new characters, you'll end up hating them too. It's all right. We'll hate them together. I didn't curse you to live in this world. We are cursed to live in this world. You understand? There's a difference. Speaking of, there's some wild tier lists out there. Did you guys see the Japanese tier list? Obviously, it's going to look unlike any other tier list you've ever seen. I will say to start, Japanese tier lists have always looked so weird compared to what our tier lists are like in the West. It's like this for every game. In like Street Fighter, for instance, Geef has been in like the top 5, top 3, top 10 of Street Fighter in seasons where he's a miserably bad character. A lot of times for Japanese tier lists, what people assume is just like the people who win a lot, their characters are rated high. You don't even have to look at the tier lists any other way other than like, oh, that's Dark Necro, that's Gobo, that's Daru, FAB. But like, it's like, yeah, look at where Happy Chaos is too. Yeah, so this is Backpack's tier list, which like you're not gonna 100% agree with all of this too, right? But like for comparison's sake, most people have the top 4 as these 4 characters, and then afterwards it's like Biken, Gold Lewis, Chip, Jacko. That's all to say, I don't know what Arc System Works' thoughts are about the game. Are they closer to this or are they closer to this? Like, I have no idea. This balance patch could come out and then the top tier could be Happy Chaos, Nago, Leo and Ram, and Anji might still suck, and Potemkin might still suck. Like, these characters might still be on the weaker end. I'm just letting you know. If they haven't done it for like 3 straight patches, it's not that unlikely that these characters stay around the power level of where they currently are. So we can get through these. There's actually a couple of interesting questions. I think the next one is interesting. The music is the DNA of GG. Is it possible to display this title of the song playing in fights? Katano says, I hope to create opportunities for people to listen to Guilty Gear music. When it comes to BGM, we've received requests to add a playlist feature for the random setting. That'd be cool. And I would like to pick up on these smaller scale requests going forward. Yeah, it sounds like crossplay, and I imagine the network stuff they did were big. Like, those are fucking big changes. So I imagine they're like, okay, now that we're finishing up like these kinds of things, smaller things like this is something that we can focus on. I can't really make any concrete promises at the moment. We appreciate your support as we work towards making these a reality. So that's cool. This character fighting style make a major impact on how likely they are to make the roster. This comparison is so funny. Characters like Abba and Nagoriyuki share similar mechanics in terms of blood management. I thought it was going to be like Sin and Nago special move stuff. Does that mean she's less likely to make it in with Nagoriyuki already existing? Same goes for characters like Happy Chaos and Elfelt. And it says fighting style is not something we consider as a highly important factor when choosing additional characters. For example, both Nagoriyuki and Biken are characters who use a katana. Biken and Gold Lewis both have eye patches. So does Sin. Of course, we would consider the balance if it ended up too skewed in one direction, but that's not the basis for our plans. To put it another way, this means that every character has a chance of making it into the roster. Man, that better not mean Cliff. Cliff is fucking dead. They go over all the events and like who won all the tournaments. No Sin in Arc Revo finals. True. You know what's funny is I was thinking Sin would probably get changes. Now I think he might not get changed at all. If he just came out and there's a balance patch in like 2.5 or 3 weeks, I'd be shocked if they didn't do anything to him, right? I don't know. If they were going to change anything, though, I don't know what he would even need changed. As long as the power level of the game doesn't change that much, he is probably fine where he has food. I don't know what you would do with it exactly. If it lasted longer or if it's stacked or something, that would be cool. Like if they made it last it's like 2 seconds or something, right? Isn't it really short? 6 seconds is also not that long even. Let's say a damage buff for 6 seconds. Like what are the odds you even hit someone in 6 seconds? I don't care that much about the food. I would rather them like make Beak safer on hit. But those changes are absurd. I think Beak is already so good, to be honest with you. As long as like the characters don't all get better and then he doesn't change, I think he's probably fine. Listen. It's called soccer for the next 24 hours. This one simple trick to piss off the Europeans. This is easy, watch. USA are second in the group, bro, lol. England top the group, bro, lol. You came second in the group, bro, lol. Look, I haven't watched a second of the World Cup. And not only that, I'm not gonna. They could lose 37-0 in every other game that ever happens. But look at them go. You know how mad they were when they opened up their phones? They just posted that shit frame one. They couldn't help themselves. I just had to, it's just too easy.